Live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Promoting God, family, and country, protecting life, liberty, and property, following the Prince of Peace. Welcome to the one and only truth-telling Liberty RoundTable Live video, radio, talk show. This is the broadcast for October the 28th of the year of our Lord, 2025. Sheriff Mack's with me, founder and president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, CSPOA.org to learn more, to join and get involved in the solutions today. Sheriff, welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much, Sam. It's great to be with you this beautiful Arizona Tuesday morning.
All right. Last hour, Sheriff became Elvis for a minute there. Check it out, by the way. And then now you're going to be Arnold?
Arnold. Yes. Well, actually, Sam.
He's in the house?
I want to quote Arnold because he did something amazing. But first, I have to tell you, instead of talking about baseball at the beginning like we did last hour, I want to talk to you about something I made at your house one time for you and your family.
I already know what it is.
I'm showing it on a plate right here in front.
Fudge, ladies and gentlemen.
Now look at that fudge.
Home specialty. Look
at that. Folks, I made this. I make fudge because my mom did it her whole life. And finally I asked her, I said, Mom, before you leave this world, I want you to teach me how to do your fudge. And so I made it for our neighbors. My neighbor to my left, her husband just passed away. So we took over food, and Dawn made rolls for them and a big thing of stew. And we took them a big ice chest of drinks because she had a lot of family coming in. And anyway, we did that. Our neighbors to the right just moved in, and they're new. So I told both of them that I would be making our favorite dessert, and that is this beautiful fudge. Now, Sam, look, I mean, this is set up. This is so nice looking, and I'm going to take a bite of it right now, and I want to make all of you so jealous. There's almonds and walnuts and marshmallows.
All right, Chef, this is wrong. This is just wrong. Okay, I'm just telling you right now, all my producers right now are rioting.
Yeah.
They've just decided that, you know what? We work for Fudge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, all we got to do, if you go into Congress, I think, Sheriff, and you were to bring them all fudge and say, listen, you guys have got to eat fudge, stop your fighting, come to the table for solutions. You work for Fudge. You know, you laugh at the money we pay you, but you'll work for, and you just bring them all around and give them all fudge and say, hey, isn't this the American bring together candy? It's almost as good as what's that candy called that old people eat that I love? It's marzipan, Sheriff. Eat some marzipan. Yeah, you don't even know what marzipan is, do you?
No. If it's not fudge and if it's not frozen custard, then I don't know.
Then Sheriff doesn't know. All right. Anyway, fantastic. You're learning a little bit more about who we are behind the scenes, folks, which is really important as well. So tell me what Arnold said, Sheriff.
Well,
what did he do?
He was being interviewed on some left-wing media. I don't know, but I think he's done some Fox and some others.
Why would he do left-wing media at all? Why would anybody get interviewed by the left-wing media? You know,
he's pretty left-wing. That's why. But look, I even got interviewed by liar Sarah Sidner from CNN 3 years ago. And you kept warning me not to do it the way we did it, but I should have listened to that. But anyway,
she's a clown. She's not interested in the truth. She's not interested in conveying the information to the American people from a factual point of view and let them decide. She's not interested in those things. That's the problem with these people.
No, she's a liar. She is. I've called her a liar, and she is. She lied to me, and she lied in the piece that she did on me, and it was mostly a hit piece, but. Again, though, when I sat down with her, I said, the only reason you and I are talking is because when I was sheriff, I sued the federal government, took a case all the way to the Supreme Court, and we won. Did she ever mention that case? No, absolutely not. She wanted to give no credibility to me whatsoever. And she's like just all the rest of the left-wing extremist liars out there that want to destroy the work that I've done and that you've done and that we've done together. And that's what she was after. Just like the Southern Poverty Law Center, just like the ADL, just like the Washington Post, and so on and so forth. So the key to all of this, though, is I really was amazed at how fair and honest Arnold Schwarzenegger was. He former governor of California. He ran as a Republican, and he won. And I'm sure he's the last Republican that ever came close to winning. But he ran on a very moderate, middle of the road platform, and he won. But this is what he said, and I believe I just saw this yesterday. And again, I don't remember who was interviewing him. I do remember that it was somebody complaining about the illegal gerrymandering that Texas has been doing, and that why shouldn't Newsom do some illegal political gerrymandering in California because Abbott's doing it in Texas. And Arnold came up with two very interesting statistics. He said, first of all, you need to know that gerrymandering has been going on in our country for over 200 years. And secondly, the Democrats have done some extreme cheating in what they're doing with gerrymandering. He says, look at the state.
So then when are we going to call, hold on, when are we going to call the parties terrorist organizations then, Sheriff?
Well, I don't know if they're terrorists is maybe too strong of a word.
If you're literally manipulating the vote by fraud, by gerrymandering, by manipulating votes, you become a terrorist organization.
Well,
you're destroying the internals of the United States.
You're scaring people to death with a horrible terrorist event. So I don't think terrorism is the right word. Cheating and lying.
It's scaring me to death knowing that none of the politicians that we thought we were electing were elected. They were selected and manipulated and gerrymandered and fraudulently put in place, Sheriff.
Yeah, and Democrats and Republicans have been doing that kind of cheating for a long time. But now, right now, we're back at what you alluded to earlier. The Democrats are worse than the Republicans. And that's basically what Arnold was saying. But the statistic was very powerful. The state of Massachusetts voted this past election, 40% Republican voted for Donald Trump.
And that's unprecedented, right?
Yeah, it is. It's great. But do you know how many representatives in Washington, D.C. there are from Massachusetts? Zero. None. So 40% of the people have no representation in the state of Massachusetts in Washington, D.C. Zero, even though there's 40% that voted for Trump. Now, even Mexico.
Yeah, but they didn't, hold on, but they didn't vote for Republican counterparts in Congress is the point, right?
Well, if you're gerrymandered, then it's not going to, even if you did, it won't do you any good.
So now that we've basically, is it terrorism to undermine the elections of the United States?
I don't believe it's terrorism. It's just partisan cheating, and it's cheating. You know?
Yeah.
It's cheating.
It's interesting to me they can call us terrorists. I mean, I think Harry Reid called you a terrorist, right?
Sarah Sidner, maybe she said she was
Didn't
really
Harry Reid say something like that?
Oh yeah, he did. Yes.
Yeah. See, so all I'm saying is, and then these guys are literally manipulating the election, so you can't get the right people elected.
Yeah, but I still don't think terrorism is the right word. There's some.
I'm all for searching. I'm all for searching for the word.
Well, okay, treason. They're committing treason. There's no question about that. It's treason.
So, okay.
Okay. And that's a federal offense. Treason should be investigated by the federal government. When was the last time the federal government investigated somebody for treason? Yeah. See,
it's been what, Benedict Arnold? Maybe not that literal, but and the sad part is Benedict Arnold got the shaft too. Anyway.
Yeah. But the other one, the other statistic he used was from New Mexico. And it's 45%, he said. 45% of the people in New Mexico voted for Donald Trump. Do you know how many people represent the state of New Mexico for Republicans in Washington, D.C.?
All right, I've got the term now, by the way, not to disrupt, but I got to do this. It's called political terrorism. So terrorism, by the way, that term refers to the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. And so it's political terrorism, Sheriff.
Maybe it is, but the word terrorism still denotes what terrorists do, and that is they do
Destroy.
it 9/11, or they kill, they maim.
Yes. So they've done the same thing to our elections.
Political cheating does not scare me. It worries me, and but it doesn't go. Oh, it doesn't shock me and terrorize me. That's the reason I'm saying needs to stick with treason.
I think Tina feels terrorized.
She might. Yeah.
I'm just saying. And I wonder if we didn't have the people elected, would we have ever had the January 6th lie and scandal? See, what all comes from those shenanigans becomes terror. Hang tight.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
All right, back with you live, Sheriff Mack and yours truly. So I'm saying it's political terrorism. When you have Arnold Schwarzenegger say the elections are literally been gerrymandered and rigged forever, and then we point out this example where 40% back President Trump, but yet you don't have a single representative that represents his ideals or views. I'm not into the partisan politics nature of this. But at some point, I don't know what word to use. I understand what Sheriff Mack's saying is it's treason. I'm calling it political terrorism, though, because what comes from that? You get all the wrong people in office. Let's just say this. Certain states have so much control and other states don't have control. But we're letting illegals vote. We're literally letting certain states have more representatives at the quote trough than other states based on this. And, how would Congress change if we didn't let illegals vote and if illegals hadn't voted in elections and so on? And if we didn't gerrymander and we really did the census and we looked at how many members of Congress you're supposed to have and all that kind of stuff, things would change drastically. And so I look at all the repercussions. The IRS might be a repercussion of this gerrymandering. The shutting down of the government right now is a consequence of this gerrymandering. We've got so polarized in America that it becomes, they're going to divide and conquer and ruin the whole country over this if we're not careful, and it might break out into a civil war if we're not very careful. Sheriff, we're to that point. When you start shooting political commentators like Charlie Kirk, and when you have transgender lies against science, COVID lies, January 6th lies, JFK lies, how much, is in Fort Knox lies, taking care of speedboats before they ever even come to the United States with no due process, without congressional involvement or approval. At some point you just go, we are crazy off the rails in so many ways. And how much at the core does this partisan politics the founding fathers warned against play in this thing? It's hard to even fathom or calculate.
Yeah, it is. And where I might think a better word is very possible
or criminal,
maybe more appropriate. I don't mind you using that word because it does cause a lot of destruction. What they've done has caused a great deal of destruction to America, destruction to our Constitution, destruction.
For example, would they have been able to vote in the Federal Reserve without the gerrymandering and all that, do you think?
Well, the Federal Reserve was voted in by United States Congress in 1913.
Yeah.
And so was the bullying IRS that started.
And if we had gerrymandering going on then and everything else, do you think it might not have passed? See, we have no idea the calculations, and that's absolute destruction. No country that's supported fiat currency survives.
Yeah.
They don't last. Their currencies melt down and fail. And now we're at the brink of this. Oh, we can't bring up looking into Fort Knox because if we do, it'll undermine the dollar and tank the whole thing. Is that what we're saying? So we're going to keep quiet now on that. We're not going to tell you about that.
Well,
so we're going to use now this political terrorism idea to kind of, well, we're not going to bring that up because it might create problems that we created, right?
I think the real terrorism comes in though when you have SWAT teams, and Trump administration didn't send a SWAT team for John Bolton when they went and arrested him, but when they arrested Roger Stone, they did. When they arrested Steve Bannon, they did. When they arrested Steve Stockman, they did. All these SWAT teams of 26 and all these guns and everything. But Trump administration, thank you, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, they didn't. They just turn yourself in, which could have happened to Steve Bannon, which could have happened to Roger Stone, could have happened for Steve Stockman. But no, but it is so out of control, Sam. And I'll continue to agree with the Republicans on one thing. The Democrats are worse, but you doing it to any degree is not acceptable. And you have. And so the terrorism that has been caused in America from the IRS, yes, I agree. They are terrorists because what they do to people, how they destroy their families and how they destroy people economically and take their property. And then what did Biden want the IRS to do? Be armed. Every agent armed, add 80,000 of them and go after the American people even more with this terrorist organization. Yes. And yes, I am so sick and tired of the corruption and cheating that has ultimately destroyed our Constitution, destroyed America, and will continue to do so. And we're now looking for solutions that are both peaceful and effective. And it just seems like that's almost gone with the wind. It's almost gone with the wind.
Well, and I don't mean to make things worse by my language and use language that's inappropriate. The problem that I have is that the mainstream press uses words that are toned down, in other words, wordsmithed, to manipulate the public, Sheriff. So let me give you an example. They're not criminal aliens if they're a gang member that comes in that rapes, pillages, and plunders. It's an undocumented migrant.
Right.
Or an undocumented immigrant, or whatever you want to call it. And then they, proceed to tell you how much immigrants have done for this country. Well, I agree that immigrants have done a lot for the country, and I'm not against legal immigration. But when we have these illegal thugs coming in, and then Donald calls them an illegal thug, they're like, oh my gosh, Donald's off the rails. He says they're just here to rape and pillage. He's a racist. Every Mexican's here to rape and pillage. No, President Trump never said that. He just said that there's people coming from foreign countries that are ne'er-do-wells. They're prison bound people that they don't want in their country, so they send them our way. There's drug traffickers, there's rapists, and now we see that it's turned out to be absolutely factual. But when we have the media tone down and manipulate the language, so for example, it's not voter fraud, Sheriff, it's voter irregularities. And by the way, there's no proof that the irregularities are enough to even matter, Sheriff. So no one's tampering with your elections, my friend. You're all good, and you just think that. And anybody who tells you that's a conspiracy kook, a wacko, a guy like Mike Lindell that belongs in one of those circus machines on TV, come on, this isn't real. And then the media partners with these shenanigans. And at some point, what is it when they steal my country from beneath me? with flattering words, and most people don't realize the disconnect until it's too late. What is that if it's not terrorist activity? What is it when the Muslims want to come in and create their special law and replace our law with theirs? And they're doing it to country after country after country. And the Democrats say there's no white replacement. You're a racist for saying that. It's just all good. And they're intentionally pushing huge amounts of refugees around the world for this very purpose of destroying fundamental rules of law, fundamental order in society, et cetera, et cetera. And then our Congress sits back and lets it happen. They're sitting at home right now eating potato chips, watching the rerun of the baseball game because they don't have anything to do right now, although they get a paycheck. And then we're supposed to go, hey, this is all good. You know, you can't use these trigger words. That's crazy. That's over the top, Sam. I'm going, what? I'm the guy that's over the top, or am I the truth teller? And maybe the words aren't perfect. Maybe the exact, definitions need to be changed. I'm not an English major or anything like that. I'm just a redneck guy calling it as I see it. But I look at this and go, what do you call something like that then?
Well, you call it
treason. It's terrorism. It's criminal. I don't know.
You call it subterfuge. You call it treason. And look, there's people that want to destroy America, that have infiltrated our churches, infiltrated our education system, and they've infiltrated Congress. And this is part of their plan. That their tactics are not going to always be terrorism. Their tactics are going to be political and partisan, and reeks with subterfuge and sabotage.
You ready for what the Muslims are claiming now? They're moving into America, and they're going to run for office because that's our way of doing things.
They've already been doing it.
Okay, but here's the deal. Here's what they say. We will run for office and take control peacefully as long as you let us until we get the majority. Right. If you don't, we'll go to the gun.
Right, of course. Yes, and I readily admit.
So who's worse, those guys that say that, or the guys that pretend they're your friends and go, oh yeah, we're the good guys, but yet they're allowing gerrymandering going on, election fraud all day long under their watch. In fact, under their ingenuity. Who
was the crazy congresswoman that just said, if somebody slaps me, I'm from the streets.
Yeah, I'm going to slice you ear to ear.
I'm going to slice your throat.
Wow. And no one seems to mind, right?
No, well, she got a lot of attention, but then look at the guy running for attorney general in Virginia. He said he's going to kill his opponent, and that his children should be killed too, so that they don't bring in any more.
And then look at the communist about to take care, become mayor in New York City.
And he's going to, and that guy, the AG candidate, he's going to win.
America, you better wake up, and you better wake up fast. Is all I can say. Yeah. By the way, there's a lady by the name of Twyla Grays. She's president of the Citizens Council for Health Freedom. And she appeared on a show hosted by our friend Jimmy Dore, by the way, to discuss the Safeguarding of Personal Information Act of 2025. RefuseRealID.org is where you can learn more. But basically, this is all about Real ID. And this bill introduced by Senator Rand Paul aims to repeal the federal Real ID law. And I guess this Grace lady criticized Real ID as a, quote, federal controlled digital surveillance system that will eventually be matched with the communist Chinese social credit score. And she also warns of a evolution into a global ID card that might have vaccine mandates and finances tied to it. She expresses concerns over privacy violations, etc., through airport facial recognition and through biometric information. And she says this is disaster. I couldn't agree more. We've got to overturn Real ID that happened on Trump's watch. Shame on the Donald. RefuseRealID.org.
Your daily Liberty News Wire. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Then another U.S. attack on suspected drug runners in the Eastern Pacific. War Secretary Hegseth says the latest strikes took out 3 boats, 14 people killed, 1 survivor. First time there have been multiple strikes in a single day. Jamaica is bracing to take a major hit from Hurricane Melissa. Powerful Category 5 storm, packing winds of up to 175 miles per hour. There's already been a lot of rain, with more than 3 feet possible by the time it's all over.
Earl Cameron lives in the capital, Kingston.
It's not a joke. It's very serious, guys, and it is going to be something different. The figures we think will be astronomical. Yeah, they will be hard to digest when this is over.
Parts of eastern Jamaica could get as much as 30 inches of rain.
Gathered as prayer warriors, as many have done, to pray for our nation.
Melissa has killed at least 6 people in the Caribbean. I'm Ed Donahue.
President Trump visiting Japan as part of his week-long Asia tour bonded quickly with the new Japanese prime minister.
The president had nothing but praise for Prime Minister Takeichi, Japan's first female prime minister, as the two leaders exchanged warm words, and he offered continued American support.
Anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there. We are an ally at the strongest level.
After their bilateral meeting, the president invited Takeichi to join him for a speech to U.S. troops aboard an aircraft carrier. Donald Trump also announced hundreds of billions of dollars in Japanese investment as part of a trade deal. Greg Clugston, Washington.
No end in sight to the government shutdown. Today's the 28th day. No paychecks today for tens of thousands of government workers, air traffic controllers among them. The rally continues on Wall Street this hour. The Dow is up 299 points, the Nasdaq ahead 61, and the S&P trading 8 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-762-6565. That's 800-762-6565.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
All right, Sheriff Mack and Sam Bushman with some late-breaking, interesting tidbit news. House Committee, which I don't understand because I thought the House was all gone. But House Committee declares unauthorized Biden auto pen declared void in damning new report. The House Oversight Committee just released nearly a 100-page report on Tuesday deeming those invalid executive actions and pardons issued without proper authorization and with, quote, machine-generated signatures in former President Joe Biden's name, barring of evidence of executive actions taken during the Biden presidency showing that President Biden, I guess he just lied. Anyway, the question becomes, what happens now, Sheriff Mack, with that late-breaking news?
Well, I'm glad it's happening. First of all, I think there was a lot more of this that was going on his entire presidency, where his wife or even Hunter filled in for him, went to meetings for him. Jill did several times. His staff was doing the job of the presidency. And did he lie or did he know? And, because he would make one claim 1 minute and another claim the other when he was talking coherently. And I believe his staff and chief of staff commandeered these events and these signatures, and they were president. Biden wasn't president. And maybe we're all better off because he wasn't competent. And the things that he said, even when he did seem to make sense, were so off the rail. It wasn't even funny. I mean, it was just like crazy talk from this man. Like when he said, when people weren't getting the vaccination, our patience is wearing thin. You better get this vaccination now and it will save you and save our country. And then, of course, but go get the booster, okay? But this was the innocuous stuff, Sam. He was really such a leftist extremist.
But does that mean now, though, that none of the pardons Joe Biden did, so now we can go after Mayorkas, Mark Lamb style?
I hope so.
Mark Lamb style?
Yes.
So that's the point, is that the problem is we've wasted so much time in Congress. We've wasted so much time that I don't know how much of this can even gain enough snowball steam to make a difference.
Yeah, of course it was all a waste of time because his entire presidency was such a charade. And
I know, but why right now did it take us 10 months to come back and say the auto pen's bogus?
Well, they're still investigating all sorts of things, but yeah, things just keep coming up. And of course, it might take some time.
Well, I pray for some answers before we run out of time. That's all I'm saying. We tend to bring these things up. They're flashes in the pan. There are a lot of talk, a lot of accusations, and no accountability and no cleanup to gain trust for the American people, which is what I'm most interested in. By the way, another late-breaking topic really quick. 14 dead after U.S. strikes on Pacific drug boats, Hegseth says. So now you've got this deal where, again, we're going after these boats. People are dead. There was no due process of any kind. Congress is missing in action. The president's calling for these strikes. I'm not comfortable with all this.
So if we went into Colombia and set fire to all the cocaine plantations and the marijuana plantations and all of the setups for all the other drugs, okay, and we give them due warning. If you keep going with that, we're going to come in and wipe it off the face of the planet.
Well, when you say keep going with that, there's discussions to be had. You got to nuance this and break it down with what? They can grow in foreign land whatever they want on their property.
How to negotiate with terrorists and how to negotiate with these drug cartels. I've told them, I've warned them, and now we're going to come wipe it off the face of the planet.
Okay, so here's the question. Does he have authority to do that without congressional approval? Knowing that the Congress is responsible for marking reprisals and war and everything like that, the president can act foreign with congressional support. The point is to not have a single branch of government just do whatever it wants to do. Right. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
And
he probably can't, And
so the point that you're making is the cause is just to some degree, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that.
Right.
What I'm saying, though, is there's still these checks and balances that must be dealt with. Sometimes it's not if we should do something, it's how. Right? It's tactics. It's discussions about
what does Congress actually do here?
What should they do? They should give him a letter of marque and reprisal, or give him a contract where third party people can take care of business, or there's all kinds of ways short of war.
We can't do a contract with a third party if we're doing it and we contract with somebody else. That's like hiring the IRS.
I know, but Congress can do that. Congress can hire a third party contractor. They do it in the military all the time.
Well, yeah, but still, do they have a declaration of war with that, or just hire people?
They don't have to. If you study marque and reprisal and everything else, a lot of that is, and some of the stuff on the high seas, that's having third party people take care of business for you, or short of war, right?
Who hired the mercenaries at the Bundy Ranch?
Well, that's a good fair question, right?
Well, I think Obama did.
Well, so yeah, I don't know who actually pulled the trigger, if it's the Attorney General or who, or some of that. All I'm telling you is at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing for checks and balances. Is the cause just that President Trump's engaged in? There's a good chance that it is. There's a good chance these guys are bad actors. I don't have any problem going after them, Sheriff. It's how we go after them. And constitutionally, what does the president need? And in my opinion, he needs Congress to give him, and I don't have it all in front of me constitutionally, but it's marque and reprisal. There are other terms there, along with war. All these responsibilities, however they go down, are in the congressional branch of government for support. Like the president can't just go out and do it by himself. It's not in his list of duties. It is in the congressional list of duties, though.
What are you defining as a mark of reprisal? I'm not sure I know what that means.
Well, you got to look that up. It's in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I'd have to get you a detail, because there's letters and mark of reprisal, and there's the terms go back to history and how those things are used. And I'm not telling you that I'm an expert on every bit of it. I just know that war and all these other different things like that, short of war, are in the hands of Congress.
Only Congress can declare war, but is protecting our borders, which is an assignment to the federal government, is protecting our borders necessary? Do you have to declare war to do that?
No.
If people are attacking us at the border, do we?
No, of course not.
Yeah. So I think that that's why I think there's some gray area in there.
But hold on. If we are not at war, but we do say we got to protect our border, or we do got to stop drug trafficking, or we do got to stop piracy on the high seas, all those things, my whole point, are listed in the Constitution.
Yeah, they are.
And they're under the congressional responsibilities. So we can get Judge Napolitano on board, or somebody else, to kind of break this down for us. If you go study the column that I mentioned that he just wrote, which was basically, we got a Trumpian headache, highlights a lot of these details that I'm pointing at. And I'm not telling you I'm a political judge, and I'm not telling you that I'm the smartest guy in the room or anything. All I know is that all these things relate to war or hostile action or defensive action, whatever you want to call it, would be in congressional responsibilities. And so, that's kind of the interesting thing, right?
I've complained about it for a long time, and you already know this, that Congress hasn't issued a legitimate, lawful declaration of war since World War II. And that's the lie behind the Korean War. What did they call the Korean War? They called it a police action, so that they could actually try to keep it to where it was a legal war and a lawful war. It wasn't. Vietnam wasn't. Another police action, and so yes,
and that's kind of my point. Isn't that we shouldn't have been there? In each example it could be different, but my point is we didn't go about it the constitutional way is the real problem, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of things and a lot of lies about Vietnam, obviously. And President Lyndon Johnson fabricated some reasons why we went to Vietnam.
So I've got this. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11. The Congress shall have power to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. Clause 12, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
All right. Then to provide and maintain a navy. That's the congressional responsibility as well.
Right.
To make rules for the government and the regulation of the land and naval forces. To provide for calling forth of the militia. See, everything that has to do with call to arms or war or violence or confronting or taking out people beyond normal due process, Congress has the responsibility.
So they're using the Navy, and that has to be approved by Congress.
And it's not. That's what we're talking about. All right, hang tight. Sam Bushman, Sheriff Richard Mack, continue in seconds.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education. Conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
All right, the good Sheriff Richard Mack, CSPOA.org, with me. Become a member today. Back to Clause 15 in the Constitution, just to show everything to do with a call to arms, everything to do with violence and war, and is all congressional. That was intentional to say, hey, we got to have the American people involved in this. We've got to have their representatives involved in this. If we're going to do these kind of things, let's make sure that it's really necessary. Let's define the details and get in and get out. So Clause 15, and the reason that I bring it up, it answers Sheriff Mack's point, which is this: to provide for calling forth of the militia, to execute the laws of the Union, to suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. So answer, Congress needs to get the militia down there at the border, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sam, what I think the next show we do, we need to go through the Constitution and see that all the provisions and principles in the Constitution that the government at every level completely ignores, and that they haven't done it in decades. I believe
that'll be a 10-hour show, Sheriff.
I think we can cover most of it, though.
You're right. It won't be that long. I'm telling you that.
My point is, there's lots in the Constitution that they simply ignore and don't do anymore.
And your point's 100%. And what we ought to do is I can maybe try to work on a summary. It'll take a lot of prep for that show, but it's a worthy show to do. Your point's well taken indeed. Let me give you one example. Media Matters just attacked Sheriff Mack and myself to some degree. But here's the interesting twist. They shouldn't be attacking us. What they should do is be engaging with us and have a candid conversation. Right. And I believe a candid conversation would have been really valuable here, because we actually have to give them a little bit of credit. I know they'll never do that to us because it's not what they believe. But we will for them, because when they're right, they're right. It's like we gave Newsom credit, I think last hour, talking about a couple of things like this. But here's the details. Yeah. We were talking about this. The United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is looking to expand its social media surveillance capabilities. That's according to a report in Wired. We talked about that last time Sheriff Mack and I were together. The agency plans to employ nearly 30 contractors. By the way, they're paying for third parties now. Employ nearly 30 contractors who will operate from centers in Vermont and in Southern California. These analysts will monitor platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and the goal is to gather intelligence, they say, for deportation raids and arrests. This initiative is currently in the request for information stage, which precedes the original bidding process for contractors. ICE agents aim to run the program 24/7 using advanced subscription-based software. Anyway, then they say Richard Mack, so all that's what we reported on. Then the article now attacking us in Media Matters says Richard Mack, founder of the CSPOA, criticized the plan on Liberty RoundTable Live, and they give the date. Mack declared the surveillance program completely unconstitutional, and he expressed strong opposition to ICE's approach and said that these initiatives are indicative of government overreach and misuse of power. Additionally, Mack mentioned that Tom Holman, former acting director of ICE, and currently described as Trump's border czar, that, hey, he's even got his hands kind of tied. Anyway, that's really all they say about it in kind of their attack, but they're very unflattering and unfavorable. Well, here's where they're right. And this is where I think conversations matter. And that's why I really wish they would have conversations with us about this, Sheriff.
Right.
And that is this. Hey, they brought up a valid point when we declared unconstitutional. And then you emailed me after you got this article and said, hey, Sam, they've got a point, which is this. It depends on how they do it on if it's unconstitutional. Let us go back to our own training to clarify this point, Sheriff.
Yeah, that's true. Because, first of all, I don't do a lot of social media. I have never liked social media. I think social media has been used very dangerously for our youth in this country. I think there's a lot of brainwashing that happens on social media. And I think there's been a lot of evil behind the creation of social media. It can be a very good tool, obviously. So I'm not saying the whole thing's evil, but I will say that my daughter and son-in-law have outlawed social media for their children. And there were some very, very solid reasons why. And they said our children are safer because they don't do social media. Very true. But it's out there. And if ICE is accessing anything that anybody else can access, it's for the public. Once it's public, Sam, anybody can access it.
Yes, that's right.
Anybody can. And if they use that to go after people and find terrorists or illegal aliens or criminals, then so be it. Great. That is smart law enforcement. But if they're going in and digging up stuff that there's an expectation of privacy. But I don't know if once you start using social media, I don't know what of that you could expect privacy from.
Well, I don't know that people expect privacy as much as what they don't want it to do. I don't care if the government trolls and listens to what I say. And okay, the problem is when they start tying it to dossiers and then they start using parties like Barack Obama, like Joe Biden, like company have done, like they did back in the day of Steve Stockman and back in the day of the freshman Republican Revolution. We heard the IRS being weaponized. Okay, now if this gets ground, at first it's, hey, we'll deport illegals with it. That sounds great. But eventually it's going to back into and when will it be used like they've done with so many other things to violate all 5 points in your First Amendment. You don't have a redress of grievance. You don't have your free speech. You're shut down. You're shadow banned. You're controlled by Facebook or this or that. They even shut down the president to make my point. And if you give them this authority, so the real point that we're drawing up is, hey, the criticism we got was a little bit justified, because if they don't do it by tying it to personal records or personal information or unique privacy details, I have a right to privacy as well, meaning not be singled out specifically for my free speech. Well, right. When does it cross that line, and when is government weaponized against us? And that's when it becomes unconstitutional. And the history is what we're focusing on, saying, look what they've done to the IRS. Look what they've done to the DEA or the FDA or the, Securities and Exchange Commission or the, I can go on and on. Government agencies have been weaponized till the cows come home. And so we're worried that, hey, they crank up this new thing while government's shut down. Interestingly enough, we're creating government programs while government's shut down. That's constitutional problematic because Congress hasn't passed all these things, right? So anyway, but I digress, except to say it's how far they take this. The problem in history proves they go further than allowed. Just look, George Bush was going to only spy on foreign terrorists. And then before you know it, he was spying on you and me. And then Congress said, oh, that's really bad. No harm, no foul. We'll codify it. And we'll create all these different lies, the Patriot Act and everything else, and the FISA courts to give them the ability to continue to abuse the American people with this. So the problem is we called it unconstitutional because it will become that way eventually. History proves it. Sheriff?
We've already had that, Sam. You mentioned the Patriot Act. That was done 20 years ago. And it was another excuse for government overreach and government crimes. What has the IRS done, Sam? Who owns the banks in this entire country?
Well, a 12 banking cartel called the Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve and IRS. And the Federal Reserve was supposedly supposed to be a federal agency. It has no authority to exist whatsoever. It's not federal. It's international banksters, gangsters who work for banks. And Trump's sitting here talking about firing Jerome Powell and another lady there on the board. That should be abolished completely and entirely. Only Congress, Article 1, Section 8 clause, I can't remember which clause, says that Congress shall coin money and regulate the value thereof. They're not doing that. They haven't done it for over 120 years.
You're right about that fact. And so that's why I have a clarion call to return to the supreme law of our land. I have a clarion call for civility and a campaign for civility to help people do so peacefully. And I want to start using the checks and balances. We blame the document, the Constitution, when in reality it's our lack of willingness to stand by and embrace and endorse and advocate for and demand accountability to the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, that's our real problem. And so our warning about it being unconstitutional may be a little bit premature.
No.
They got us. Media Matters, you're right. At the same time, prove us wrong. Let's have a discussion and a debate about this. Don't just attack us from your, government funded, who knows what. How much money did Media Matters get from the government and all the funding? I don't know, but I'd like to know. I didn't get a penny, Sheriff. So it's very interesting who's attacking us. I'm being attacked with my own dollars.
That's true. We've been paying for our own demise for a long time. And
kind of not liking that, Sheriff.
I'm not either. And I haven't for a long time.
And other organizations get government money that compete with you too, and with the CSPOA.
And I guess there's something else we need to research, because I asked the people in Nevada, what about defunding Planned Parenthood? And they said the big, beautiful bill actually included that.
It did for 1 year.
For 1 year.
Yep.
Well, that's come and gone.
That's what I'm telling you. They've virtually done nothing. I mean, I'm glad for the little blips that we've got. They're better than nothing. But folks, we expected a lot more. And if we don't take action now, you're going to lose this opportunity. It'll be an opportunity in the history books that's been lost. It'll be legendary of the disgrace and the missed opportunities. All right, for Sheriff Richard Mack, Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, CSPOA.org, and yours truly, humble host. Maybe I'm not as humble as I think I am, huh? All right, of Liberty Roundtable Live, all available at lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.